You are speaking these incantations that are evoking the ancient stream, the magnetism, and it is coming from within you out, as it has always been there. The more and more you condition the body, the more and more it becomes actualized. When the energy ramps up and it continues to tune with the system, you can have as many ridiculous thoughts as you want. It's not going to stop the independence of that power that has always been yours. It only becomes more and more potent. You cannot fight it. It's your default. That is who you are naturally.
Hey, Guy here. Today I welcome back my buddy San Qing, who is a Daoist master, an ordained priest, and I think it's his third appearance on the podcast and probably our deepest conversation yet. We explore who we really are beneath the mind, the identity, and why we spend most of our entire lives disconnected from that truth. It's fascinating and one I'm certainly always inquiring on. We also break down the ancient internal, well, San does more than me, but the ancient internal alchemy that awakens the power already inside us. Not by imagining something, but by perceiving what's already there. There's a vast difference when you start to ponder on that. And we dive into what it means to dissolve the limits of the mind and return to a state of wholeness, clarity, and real inner power. Anyway, if you enjoy going deeper, then this podcast is for you. Be sure to let me know in the description, comments, wherever you are in the world. If you enjoy my podcast, hitting the subscribe, hitting the like, or sharing this with a loved one or friend continues to support my podcast and help it get it out there. And of course, 2026 is fast approaching. I hope to meet you somewhere in the world in person at one of our Live and Flow retreats. Come and check us out. We are even talking about trying to get to the USA at some point, but we will be in Bali in June. I believe all retreats before June, including New Zealand, Australia, are all sold out. Yeah, momentum's happening, man. Get amongst it. Links are below, and there's also a free HEARTT PDF resource there for you as well if you're meeting me for the first time and stumbled across this on YouTube. Anyway, much from love from me. Enjoy this with San Quinn, and connect soon. Bye. San Qing, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Oh, brother, I'm just so happy to be here with open arms. Gotta love those boys. Shout out to Creed, homies, you know. I got a little misguided, but the Christian message is there, brother.
Well, you don't know if you know it, but you're actually making the Elite Podcast Club, mate, where you've come on for the third time. Where it's coming into new terrain.
I'm very grateful, very grateful.
No, it's amazing. And, you know, I find myself speaking to you off air on a regular basis as well, you know, since we first met. And the more I'm getting to know you, San, the more I'm like, holy shit, people just need to know. You got to get out there more, you know? And I'm like, I just want to bring your wisdom to my audience and as many people as possible, because it's deeply appreciated what you're doing, not only for me, but for everyone. And
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And I got to ask before we get into the conversation today, mate, what are you drinking?
Yeah. Oh, this is what I refer to it as the Immortal Elixir. This is gold tip tea picked in Tibet by a Tibetan monk. And it's been blessed by a Tibetan monk, and it's infused with rose petals from India. Oh, yeah. And so this is the Immortal Elixir. And so the red tea is really important. I'm about to do a series on this. So there's 5 teas that connect with all the elements in the body for conditioning. This is for the heart. This is the red tea. We have red tea, black tea, white tea, green tea, and then yellow tea. Yellow tea is for spleen. White tea is for lungs. Green tea is for liver. Red tea is for heart. And the black tea is for the kidneys.
Yeah. The 5 elements, which is probably a conversation I want to get into today, because I've been working through those bad boys.
And I mean, you bring up a good point, because I get a lot of flack from people like that. The guest, the host is always drinking fluids at all time because I'm transmuting them. So I'm transmuting between yin and yang at all times. Like it will get to a point where I continually cultivate and concentrate it back into the
And you
system.
held up, just for people that didn't see it on video, you held up a bottle of water, right? Sparkling water,
Oh,
mineral
green,
water.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Hot and cold.
And it's just all part of being an alchemist, being someone that can transmute things at will. A mastery, an artistry, and an ancient connection that comes with this type of practices that really returns the initiate as a recipient to this potency, which is the craft of the ancients, which is deeply inside the individual's core, and it will emanate through as a repeatable iteration of self from a cellular level all the way up to the flesh and blood that you see before us right now. It all becomes conditioned through this alchemical process.
How would you define alchemy then?
Well, alchemy from a Western perspective, you get a periodic table, and they're moving elements. This is fundamental. You get deeper into what I refer to as sort of more like a Western wannabe alchemization, where they're looking for the philosopher's stone to become immortal. Whereas within this type of system, this is internalized, and we evoke it from taking elements. Literally, you are converting lead into gold using these practices where we bring immortality and crystallize it in the material. So you feel a substance being cultivated inside the physical body that is independent of your finite mind, independent of your personality. I always bring people's attention to the analogy: you're driving down the street, you pull your car over the side of the road, you get out of your car and you leave the engine running. This is how the system starts to really present itself. So the psyche, the intellect becomes secondary, if not sits in the background of the periphery. It's not completely dissolved, but through what we refer to as the cultivation of Nidan and Weidan, which is taking external and internal and alchemizing it, then we create Nigong, which is the power. So
Aha.
there's this. It's the Nidan. Most people will learn Nigong, and it's kind of it's futile in itself, because battery packs charging yourself with no purposes other than entertaining your own ego will come with a limit. It will come with mortality. It will come with a diminished return. Whereas the Nidan is a cultivational practice that alchemizes the immortality, your true immortal self in the physical flesh. And that will end with servitude and selflessness, and none of the intellect will come into play. It will just start to fade into the background. Not that you have to be celibate, not that you have to never engage in anything humanistic. That's not the point. You're just able to access this state of who you really are, the divinity, at will, to effectively change everything in the material state as whole. And that's where we bring everything back to its whole aspect. So everyone is a recipient of this, as you are an alchemist and a magician for that type of potency.
Because as you speak, I'm nodding because I'm actually starting to get it, but from an experiential level. Because you're using words I'd never, being the Welshman, I've heard of them, but I don't know what they mean.
Yeah,
Ni gong and qi
yeah,
gong and different gongs, and
yeah.
I'm like, huh? But from the experiential level, it's making sense. And so I'm trying to help break it down for listeners. Would it be almost like we're allowing the body to start to marinate in the field of energy that we're
Well,
in?
yeah, I would bring it to this. I'll speak an incantation from one of my teachers, the Jade Emperor, and the simplicity of it really embodies everything we're speaking of. And the simplicity of it is this: a power abundant in its giving you will receive. unifying the body with the spirit with the energy, bringing heaven to earth, transcending all is one, one is all, revealing perfection manifest. That is your gift. That is your offering. That is your gift. That is your offering. That is your gift. That is your offering, which is an internal cycle. And you can understand this from, even when I say that, your body starts to emanate it, and you can feel the cycle of that infinity that is permeating and evoking the response that is an emanated embodied state that comes through the body. And you'll start to mimic the cycle of that.
It comes in online. But like I was speaking to you off air before we started talking, the podcast, and I want people to understand, I've naturally been working, drawing energy through, bringing earth energy into the body, bringing sun energy, and just naturally gravitating to that. I don't know why, but it felt right. And working through traumas and chakras and allowing that to clear the body over time. But now, since working on the 5 elements, it feels like that it's coming from within, like within every cell, like that's permeating in. It's not something I'm drawing in from outside of myself.
Yeah, it's
out.
From the inside out.
It's almost like I keep seeing this idea somehow of, where you got the circle, or they say the center of the circle is the divinity, right? And Abraham Karim talks about, bringing life force energy into our homes and everything using biogeometry and resonance of shape. It feels like through the awareness and intention and different practices, you can go in and you're literally grabbing it by the hand and pulling it inside out. Like you're pulling that energy from source in. I don't know. We're talking quantum energy here. We're talking what?
Well, it's the absolute definition when people go, "Hey, you don't need to go out. You need to go in," because it's set up there. There's a big difference in gap between perception and imagination. For conjuring things that people tend to go, I will need to visualize, I got to bring in the light, I got to do all these things. Through this alchemy, through this system that is so ancient, all you do is follow the instruction, and it's alive. And that's a very simple way to define what it is that you're going through from a cultivational practice. It is alive. You are speaking these incantations that are evoking the ancient stream, the magnetism, and it is coming from within you out, as it has always been there. And the more and more you condition the body, the more and more it becomes actualized. And that's what we refer to immortality crystallized in the material.
Oof.
And what I speak of, because from an experiencer level, you're experiencing this. When I speak this, the union that we're having right now is so visceral for you and me, because I'm experiencing the same thing. And it's a kaleidoscope of vivid, like emanations. We refer to that as a sacred infinite flower. All the petals turn on. And so every vibrant color you can ever imagine is being expressed from Guy's aura right now. And I'm just as high as AF enjoying this experience. It's happening real time.
Do you, I mean, I'm just going to ask a bigger question at the moment. Do you feel like this is a time in history where this information is becoming more accessible? And if people are genuinely wanting to shift, like as a species, we're starting to understand who we are more and more?
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, looking at that over my own awareness over probably close to 40 years, yeah, I believe that there has been an acceleration of a collective consciousness. There's no question about it, where people are becoming more and more familiar with thyself and returning to that node of pure source. And it comes through ancient practices. I mean, I was never, ever told by my teachers that teach this stuff through me as a catalyst. I'm nothing more than as dumb as a bag of rocks. Everything that emanates from me is an expression of this, what we refer to as the dialogue to the monologue. The mother emanates through me. My teachers that I see as clearly as I see you, Lao Tzu, Supreme Purity, J Purity, Highest Purity, all these immortals are different iterations of self. They are variables of the mother, and they are shown to me individually, but they are a collective, and they come with their heightened awareness and basically source information, which would be equivalent to someone's version of Akashic records. But they are people would refer to them as ascended masters. Absolutely, 1000%.
What is the role of the ascended master?
Personally, from my teacher Lao Tzu, is to recondition you back to your original state. You are diluted, now bring you back to the concentrated, pure state that you are, that gathers everything and brings it as whole. So that holy stream is the convergence of yin and yang, which is the separate sort of like tango that we have within this material state, which comes like a symbiosis from one stream, which is the true nature of who you are, the holy stream. You are one. There's no separating. Yet through detours or personal reflection, or even the idea that we are humble, we are holy, when you speak of it in that language, you're separating yourself. When you emanate or embody it as one, there are no words to describe who you really are. It's like part of Taoism is taking the dance of those two incredible energies that make up this material state and merge them together. And once you pass through the center of that, you recognize you're everything and nothing at the same time. And you have the ability to access everything at will. It's no longer a negotiation. It's no longer a question. And you can feel that, like, for example, you yourself can feel that. It starts to be a pull on the tapestry. As you get deeper in the respiration, you feel that, oh my goodness, when I breathe, things are being created right now. Things are being emanated into this source experience that are bringing people to this holiness. And so what better way to experience that when you go and help hundreds of people with most of your weekends throughout the whole year? You have little time for respite. You are constantly helping people, traveling the globe, helping people remember this potency, and the breath becomes stronger. This is the major sacred gateway that when you get completely online through the system, you will just breathe it and it'll be realized.
It's pretty wild. Like, I think about, the books that are out there and the books you can read, and it all feeds the intellect. And you hear about the guru master or the ascended master or Jesus Christ, or, with all these potencies and gifts and here and it's wild, because in some ways it's almost like we've been conditioned to, it's all outside of ourselves, and we worship that part of that possibility, but not recognizing that divinity is within each and every single one of us that are here, that have the mechanisms and the mechanics, if shown correctly, a way that we can self-actualize these things within ourselves. But we got so much story and belief and conditioning that's in the way through our life. We just go, that's bullshit, and just knock it all to one side.
And then you get the vast chasm between perception and imagination. And that's where most people they fall into a sand pit, because the imagination is destructible and impermanent. If anything, it distances you further and further away from who you are, because you're not having to create anything. The perception is you're experiencing it. And when you are you're in reach of this type of ancient cultivational practice, when you apply it, it's an experience and it happens instantly. And so there's no conjuring. There's no like, well, imagine the sun coming down on your face and absorb it. That doesn't come into play. And I think you would be a testament to that. When you go through this stuff, you're just following the instruction and it becomes actualized. Like you're able to go, holy shit, this is like really happening.
I'm doing nothing fancy. I just show up and do it. I think that's been one of my superpowers. I just kind of trudge along and keep going.
Right.
But follow the manual, like,
Right. And that's the method to the madness. That's why this ancient alchemy is second to none, in my opinion. I mean, we could go over Rosicrucianism or, other sort of like Gnostic paths of Gnosticism in of itself, or, Western alchemy, chaos magic. There are many different variables, but understand that when you walk a path of millions and millions of people before you, it gets real fast. It's not like a variation where, okay, I was this in one life and I woke up today and now I'm something else. Yes, the experience itself. It's an experience, this world, and everyone else has to live in it. And I think that's the new coming of age when it comes to this path, is recognizing that enough of the nonsense, talking about it, reading about it, what I refer to as people that consume information. They're gatherers of information. So they're a jack of all trades and a master of nothing. And that comes from you not recognizing and valuing and paying homage to yourself. And that is when you return to that pure source. And so what better way than using an alchemical system like the one that Taoism is very, very familiar with. And specifically the stuff that I teach, I don't believe there's anyone else that teaches this stuff. And there's levels and degrees of development, but not to this actualization. And it comes because it's an imbued system guided by immortals. And I'm not 3 cents short of $1. I'm not shouting out to Crocs and Tubbs from Miami Vice.
Yeah, and I would imagine people listening to this podcast are on the path, right? They're openly looking and not dismissing those things.
Right.
Because you speak about, because the ascended masters you work with are not here in physical form, but they're ever present and you're with them. Like I feel presence come in. So to me, it's not a reach at all, even though I don't see with my eyes per se or myself, especially in the
you can
experience the presence and I experience it starting to work through me, which is, like you say, it's not me doing it, it's me getting out of the way in some way to allow that to come through. So that doesn't feel like a reach, but for many people that could feel like a reach at this point.
Well, it starts that way, but when they just follow the instruction and they accept it at face value, they will literally their energy potential will turn on. I've done this so many times that it's like there's no exception to the rule. If they're in the presence of this method, they will become actualized, but they have to follow it. And so, you have your own path. I've got students that are like literally are in the path of Christianity and JC is their main focus, yet they're struggling with that relationship, even though I've had communion with JC and them in a 3-way conversation of they're actualizing themselves. This is a method to actualize, but they still have a conflict. Their energy is off the Richter scale, but their conflict is their finite mind is struggling with the fact that this is not a Christian-based exercise, yet they're experiencing it visually, kinesthetic, somatic experiences that go beyond words. And to me, that gets you to wake up and go, wow, okay, well, this is not stopping. This is building on itself. It's becoming greater and greater through my commitment. And it doesn't, what happens is if you stop something and you pause and you come back to it, it multiplies, it amplifies. That's how the system works.
So, like you said, there's sometimes the slower you go, the faster you get there.
Oh, without question, because you will be subject to void of time and space. Things just disappear. It's not for a narrative or a personal commitment in your relationship. If you walk into this type of training, you can disappear for days. Like if I had no commitments, I could sit here in my temple and train for days and not want for food or water and just continually embody and expand on all the teaching.
Wow. What was the question I wanted to ask for you was with this? What have you found with working with many people that come in? What's the draw card in for people? Because what I witness is quite often most people are running from the pain they don't want to face. And then looking externally at spirit, per se, to then use it as a healing mechanism. Like I would take a Panadol for my headache, but on a deeper level, if that makes sense, as opposed to, which seems to accelerate the want for something and the need for something, because I don't feel whole in this moment. I don't feel complete. So it's creating that anxiety around getting somewhere, if I'm making sense. So
yeah.
What have you found to be the I guess, what draws people into this work, but what helps them people actualize that, hey, this is a journey. This is actually a lifelong journey. This is a process, to start bringing that back into presence of the now.
Well, I think you made a really good point. A lot of people, they're like your petulant 18-year-old child that knows better, that I don't want to expand my idea of education. I'm going to go out and attack the real world or do something where I'm going to apply myself in a situation where it's my hands and my commitment to being resistant to learning or knowledge or wisdom or information. And so in this world, the petulant child is someone that wants a quick fix. Well, I'll do a Reiki workshop, and one weekend I'm a master, or I'll go and do a Qigong workshop, I'm a master. I'll go and do this. They're fixated on the title. They're fixated on what they receive from that workshop as a superpower. And when they continue to apply these things, what happens is they get further and further away from themselves. And eventually they realize the petulant 18-year-old that wanted to just go out and attack the world without any substance recognizes they need to a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more method to helping them remember who they are through a process. So instead of like jumping the line and becoming cosmic consciousness in a weekend, not saying it can't happen, but in most cases, there is a conditioning where you are detoxing and fasting the mind, the intellect, and you are enriching the alchemy and the internal architecture, the energetic architecture that requires a processes. And I'll be very clear. I had that experience myself. I was actualized instantaneously. Anyone can do it. Anyone can. But in most cases, what I've seen over the years is there's a fall and get up, run, crawl, fall and get up, run, crawl, fall and get up before they recognize I need more than just, someone transmitting Brahman to me in the corner of a room on a podcast or a workshop. I need to experience it myself. I need to be able to actualize it myself. I'm not going to come to some other like version of a separation between me and God, or me and the universe, me and Jesus, me and Tao, me and Buddha. There is no separation, because when you look truly into the abyss, the void, the mother, you will return to whole. So the conditioning is such a very vital part of you becoming whole, because you, through experience, will, very important is no front loading. I don't front load anything. I don't get you to imagine anything. I don't ask you to do anything other than
I was,
perceive. And
I
that's
was going to say,
critical.
what's
And then I'm
front
not,
loading? What do you
right?
mean by front loading?
Well, front loading, where I go, hey, guy, when I give you this, guess what? You're going to feel this fairies come out of the sky,
Oh,
and you're going to feel this humongous love from your heart. And the pixies are going to come out, and they're going to start playing dances on your chest. And there's a cheat code for a level
you're
of
almost
manipulation.
placing, yeah, what them to expect before it's
Yeah,
happening, so they're going to use their imagination,
exactly.
starting to go into it. Gotcha.
And
Totally.
so the vast gap is, you will experience it. Everyone that I ever um, are in the presence of, say, for example, Lao Tzu, an experience of Lao Tzu, right? We've never personally done that, but you've probably seen one of my Lao Tzu videos or whatever. There is an experience that takes place where you, as a recipient, feel all the effects of anything that is taking place. If he speaks, there's a rippling, oscillating effect that comes through you on a visceral level, through the body. And so, an example of that is when you read an incantation, or you go through an exercise that was given to you by Lao Tzu, you feel it. You're like, hang on, I'm welcoming in something, and there is a presence in this space that is independent of anything that I am emanating, and that is part of the perception. You're perceiving the now moment. You're not creating or manipulating it with the idea that you have to, because it's already happened. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
absolutely. And you spoke of
Mm.
the architecture and the body and
Mm-hmm.
the side effects of it's like the architecture. The way I see it is almost like within my body there's new, whether it be physical or energy pipelines. We speak of meridians or chakras or nervous system, even, that it's all adapting. Like when you go to the gym, you start pushing weights, your muscles adapt to the stimulus and the growth that's being put upon it. And it's no different with this work.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
that can come with a detoxification of what's not serving you. Let's put it lightly.
Yeah, yes. Well, yes, there is a fundamental. There's no more room for freeloaders that don't pay their
Ah,
dues. Right. So the selfishness to the selflessness requires the
say
sacrifice,
that again.
and that's
The,
the selfishness to the selflessness requires the sacrifice.
oh,
And so when you recognize that it's a gradient phase of awareness, that you are me, I am you. If we rewind back to that incantation of the Jade Emperor, all is one, one is all. Your gift is your offering. And the more and more you attune the system and alchemize the system, which is independent to your finite mind, you can play around with it all you want. When the energy ramps up and it continues to tune with the system, you can have as many ridiculous thoughts as you want. It's not going to stop the independence of that power that has always been yours. It will not deter it. We will not manipulate it. It only becomes more and more potent. And it's like you can't fight it. It's like you cannot fight it. It's your default. That is who you are naturally.
but it's like, I'm trying to find words for it. It's like as if when growing up, it's like every cell in my body had bought into my personality and the story and the belief systems and the trauma, like, and that was the self, the me, the little part of me. And going from to the selflessness, there's a shedding and there's a letting go of all those things then. And I'll be honest with you, like it's kicked my ass on multiple occasions over the years, recently as well, especially as that has amped up that frequency, that power.
Yeah.
It's wild. Did you
Yeah.
have that yourself because you had it instantaneously when you walked in to the channel in lesson, right? Like, did you
So,
fall apart? Were you like a mess for a while?
oh yeah, I think I might have mentioned it on your channel. I don't know, but after I went from never meditating before, stopping time sound for 20 minutes, that was the first meditation I did. Then the second day I channeled Lao Tzu, full body on. I had everyone in the room taking sticks with marshmallows, cooking them around an emanated, potent, holy, immortal self. And that's how he comes in today. And it only ramps up what would be considered a physical like appearance. But that's the immortality crystallized. And from that, then I went through to clairvoyance, distant healing, and then finally witnessing a physical healing. But the following week, after the equivalent to a shit show for equivalent to a week, I had 7 days of what you would refer to as the dark night of the soul. So I had every thought, every feeling, every emotion at once. It's like close my eyes, open my eyes. It's coming at me at 1,000 miles an hour. And by the third day, I was ready to just off myself. I was good. I'm done. Tapped out. I'm finished. And it just, I just grew from that. I was like, I was overly like consuming this that would really break anyone else, put them into a psych ward, probably destroy their nervous system. I just got stronger. I got stronger and stronger and stronger. And you received a similar thing, I mean, you adapted. It's like a cycle, adaptation, expansion, and then a constant creation from that. Creation, completion, expansion. It happens all the
And
time.
there's always a point where sometimes I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I just want to just be, but it's like, oh, okay, this bit's integrated, I think you referred to Donkey Kong before. It's like, now we go to level 2. Okay. And then it
Yes.
comes, and then we go to level 3, and then it comes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it can be, yeah, interesting.
And so the blossoming effect of all the things that from the alchemy is this like growth of what we call the sacred influence flower from the heart center, from the lower dantian, the upper dantian, and it's like it looks like if you've ever seen a fountain bubbling, this energy works independently and it starts to just bubble and cycle up, as if you were looking at like in reverse. You would say, have you ever been to a wedding and they have all the champagne glasses that are set up, and then they overflow the champagne into the glasses, and it just keeps pouring in, and it keeps going down from one level to the next. You're having that, but in a reverse cycle. And so it's all happening from within, and it's all blossoming and expanding. And from that, you meet all these different incredible parts of yourself that were always there. And they just turn online, and then you're able to apply them in what would be perceived as a very impermanent, transitory state. But you bring this permanence, this eternal, immortal self, and you are able to actualize it in a material where we crystallize it.
Interesting. Which is like, it feels like everybody's chasing in some shape or form.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone is.
A couple of questions have occurred to me. I've never asked you this in conversation off air and on then, because I'm a bit naive in certain areas of this work, mate. And one is Lao Tzu. How I don't know much about him, and also why Lao Tzu with you on your journey.
Exactly right. I literally had zero understanding of religion, spirituality, or anything until I met that moment with the Grand Master was 4 foot nothing that exposed me to meditations where sound stopped. And from that moment, I would see like yin and yang symbols in everyone's mouth. Everywhere I went, I would see the yin and yang symbol. I'd open their mouth and I would see it just protruding from their mouth. I'm just like, what? And then that turned into the channeling of Lao Tzu the next day. And then he just came through and went, "You've arrived. Welcome." And I'm just like, that's like, and I wasn't swayed either way, because my attitude to life was, I'll try everything once. And I felt I was at home. I was at one. And so a lot of people deviate from their path. I'm an absolutist. I'm an absolutist. It's like, that's it. I'm all in. I'm all in. And when it continually shows you a different expression of self and you're expanded, you don't have to change it. If it ain't broken, don't change it. That's where my commitment to the Taoist path. And of course, through that, I was able to decipher through the fact that I've actually performed as a Taoist priest and alchemist 1,000 times over. It's another day of the rodeo for me.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but I've also been. I've also been a Catholic priest, a Christian pastor, an evangelist, a Buddhist monk. I set myself on fire at one point at the end of my Buddhist experience in that lifetime. And in one lifetime, I was a Taoist priest and a Buddhist monk at the same time, and at the same timeline. What someone would possibly try and manipulate or call what they call a twin flame. I was actualized in two bodies at the same time in the same timeline. And that particular timeline, as a Buddhist monk, I was actually conditioning myself for 10 years to mummify out of my own desire to mummify the body, so the spirit that I would be immortalized by the time the spirit left the body, which was a 10-year process. And it's just wild stuff, man.
Wow. Wow. And you can recall all those now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. 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 I've been very aware of my past lives for probably over 30 years now.
That's wild. Wild. Ordained priest. You mentioned Taoist priest.
Yes.
So you became a priest.
Yes. Yes. That was a fun journey. Taking the pilgrimage to China and then being ordained in a monastery. Really? There's a process. You normally go for, your yellow paper to your ordinance, where you are what we call a disciple to a priest in of the same focus. So you spend years conditioning yourself to these types of things. It's normally about a 5 or 6 year journey to get to priesthood. And then from there, all the floodgates are open. And so different degrees. I kind of took the cheat code, so I went backwards. I had all this stuff happen to me. I was already performing all these feats, but then Lao Tzu was like, this would be good for you to reminisce and reunite with such ancient tasks that you were alchemizing and teaching others. Go to the trouble of this journey and experience it. And that was that was like a banger. That was wild, because he never leaves me. But like when I hit the ground in China, it was like I could not see anything but this backdrop of all my teachers, just wherever I went, closed eyes, opened eyes, they were just sitting around me like a horde. And everywhere I went, they would just tell me where to go, what to do. Outside of the monastery, I'd find myself in crazy little equivalent to bodegas in the fractured streets outside of the monastery, where people are just selling like live turtles for $5, or you look at this beautiful little husky and you're like, oh, that's so cute. Do you want to eat him? And I'm just like, wow, this is on a whole nother level altogether, a different culture, a different viewpoint. But it was familiar to me. It was for me too, because it's always been who I am, and it's a part of who I am. They're my people. They have been for many lifetimes, and so I have a very soft spot for Chinese culture. And furthermore, the people of China have spent at least the last 100 years in complete torture, if not thousands. I mean, but specifically on a timeline historically, when there was a reign of a specific dictator by the name of Mao, he destroyed, killed over 60 million people,
Holy moly.
like genocide. It makes anything on a human timeline that we're familiar with from World War I and II and other things, nothing compares to what he did just because he was bored. Just bored. It's just another story. And so, most people get it misconstrued where they associate, the CCP with the Chinese people. It's no, they don't have a choice. They're being manipulated. It's an interesting thing, but it comes with a price, and ultimately there will be freedom. I know that to be true.
So what did you do with that once you went to China, you became a priest?
Yeah, it just teaching people the most important part. Like, okay, so all the magic and layered alchemical processes are part of the teaching as a priest, but the most important message that was given to me from the monastery was go out and teach people the way of the Tao. Show them the ancient text. Spread the word of the Tao Te Ching. Now, I didn't need that. At that point, my relationship with Lao Tzu had been many years in advance. So he's already been teaching me this for many, many years before the final experience in the monastery. But, you start to advance these things at a rapid rate when you're getting help from an immortal teacher.
As you do.
It's like,
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. So I mean, helping people is the main. So that's the difference. Like when someone talks about Daoist alchemy and they refer to something as benign as Nigong, which many people will claim that they're Nigong teachers. That's just evoking the power within you, right? Now, when you go the Nidan path, which is the internal alchemy path, you're meeting your maker. That means that through this alchemical processes, all dissolving of the self in relation to humanistic expressions will meld and blend back into yourself. So there will never be a controlling interest of the intellect. As you continue to alchemize yourself, what becomes more clear and to the forefront is the selflessness and servitude that you can't fight, and it becomes your natural course of expression, which is the natural nature and selection of life as itself. Between the universe and Earth, you see the natural selection. The natural order is the flow. We don't, Bambi's not sitting there drinking from a creek going, my name is Sam and my parents were crappy to me and, I came from a broken family. No, Bambi's just drinking that stream. The tree is not sitting there going, I'm standing here, my name's Bob, and a couple of dogs peed on me the other week, and I'm not really a fan of dogs, and I really don't like humans. The tree's natural selection, the natural order is just flow. There's no identity, which is so critical to your own self-realization, which ultimately ends in absolving and delusion of self-absolute. The absolute truth is you're everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah. And it feels like what you're explaining now is almost then if we go back to architecture and emanating through the body and really alchemizing those processes within us, it feels like we really have to just concentrate laying brick by brick by brick and just constantly and just focus on the next brick that needs to be laid. But we're so conditioned to, let's get the house up as quickly as possible so I can enjoy the, the pina colada on the deck and watch the sunset. But it's actually in the labor of love of laying each brick is where the true wisdom journey is. It will start to emanate out of us. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, and it becomes more. Oh, yeah, it becomes more and more clear because that alchemy is as tangible. Once actualized, is like an independent system to the body, and it will feel that way. It will start to grow out of you, and you will be able to manipulate and codify and contort and conjure anything at will, as long as it's energetic, which is this whole material state.
Yeah.
That's part of the magic. But the key is within Taoist magic, the purpose of Taoist magic is return everything to whole. So you may have a directive or a mandate. You may go, oh, okay, the magic has been requested that this person has this issue with this thing, whatever it is, place, person, or thing. This is all considered in the pie. The pie is cooked. It's cooked 100%. But through that process of returning these place, person, and things to wholeness, everything else around it that's surrounded in the interplay of relationships or environment will also return to whole. So there's no exception. There's no selection. Everything becomes whole. So instead of like the fleeting moment of, I want to be a sorcerer, I'm a magician, I want to manipulate something from my own best interests. Your best interest is everything. You are everything. You're not going, here I am, little old me, Merlin, and I just want to conjure up, a bag of money and a happy life and a successful this or a bigger house, a car. These are all side effects of you returning to your holiness. You don't have to manipulate them in a myopic way. You must remember everything will, as natural selection, return to whole, as you are whole, as you are everything and nothing.
And everything that is not whole within your environment or within will literally fall away.
Well, yeah. And it's the part of like the feng shui is so popular, but so many flim-flam mans and grifters use feng shui to manipulate and exacerbate people's fears. Some of the things where I do like literally a 12-step program of reconditioning yourself to holiness is to start to dismantle, because in a deeper nature within the Chinese culture, superstition is huge. Eastern culture, superstition is huge. That is not coming from the self that is whole. It is a separate component that has been conditioned to manipulate the seeker. And the more and more you bring them to that plate of fear, things will continue to deconstruct. There will be more consumption and cannibalism of self. How do I attribute it? It's more, you're like an autoimmune disease that just keeps consuming itself because you are not bringing yourself to whole.
Totally.
Does that make sense?
And it's like fear is a frequency. It is a station that we tune into. And if we continue to tune into it and fear it, it's just going to continue to, like you say, cannibalize and escalate. And it becomes very potent. Very potent indeed.
But not as potent as self, because self is whole. Self is eternal, immortal. And it's like when you recognize that you have arrived, nothing has title, nothing has place, person, or thing. Everything is an iteration of self. So you are all things and nothing.
Yeah, where's that movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Just thinking of listeners as well and everything, like Well, what would be a good place for them to start, just to contemplate on, just to start to bring into their daily life something, like what would be like a base point that they could work with?
A base point would be you're starting with the tentacles that are part of self, the five senses that are just generally an acquisition of the body that is commandeered by the psyche. So the first thing you want to do is be introspective and contemplative. So to do that, you shut a couple of senses down, take a moment, lie down. That autonomy will take over the body, and that relaxation will set in, like it will bleed out. And so then you do something as simple as shut off a sense like the eyesight, get a blindfold, cover the eyes so you cannot see light, because this is the symbiotic dance that you have between yin and yang. The second you experience light and then you shut it off, it starts to actualize a sense that it goes beyond the five senses, and you will start to see without using your biological makeup. It will be present as a sense, a clear sense that exceeds what is just part of the initial operating system. And so the contemplation part would be you lay down, you follow that instruction I just explained, shut off the sense of the eyes, put yourself in a room that you're comfortable with, and then you look to the peak of your nose, and this will start to draw the light into the body. You will go back inside, and then things will start to percolate, because now you're channeling that energy from the Bai Hui, which is the top of the head, down into your drawing that divinity code into the center of the body out of natural selection, because that's truly who you are. And this is a very basic, like conditioning exercise, but it has potency when you make it very simple. You knock off a few things that might be contenders that will start to distract you. But the mind, in of itself, the psyche, will literally fall into the back seat as you draw your sight, because you have a blindfold on, draw your sight to the tip of your nose, and you literally fall back into yourself. You'll fall into that channel, what we call the Tai Chi pole. And so that light will start to be drawn down into the heart center. And so then the light meets the fire, and,
Days.
why don't we start with that? We'll
That's
start with that.
perfect.
And the breath cycle should be very simplistic. 3 cycles in, 3-second hold, 3 cycles out. So 3 seconds inhale, 3 seconds hold, 3 seconds exhale. Now, it sounds very simplistic. When you embody it, it's a master state. Just something as simple as that.
And I think when you share this, because I'm listening to that and I'm in the back of my mind, I'm going through it. I'm like, I want to give it, I like it. But if people don't have the willingness to show up for themselves and turn off the TV or put their phone down or slow down from the pace of their day and actually just give themselves to start practicing this, it's just
And the most important question I want them to ask themselves is, am I imagining it or am I perceiving? And that's all you got to do, because what will happen is your perception will overshadow the imagination, and you'll be like, holy crap, this is real, because it will come online, independent of any sort of manipulation that you might have for the mind. And that's where you kind of fall on yourself a little bit when people are fixated on imagination, they're fixated on visualization. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those two techniques, but when you truly want to alchemize yourself, perception is the most important thing, not visualizing or imagination, because it's already there. And you'll show yourself that. You'll be like, holy crap, it just came on. I didn't have to manipulate it in my mind to see it somewhere it wasn't. And what's important with the blindfolds on, have your eyes open. And that's when things get real freaky.
Yeah, because once the perception, it's a knowing. Once it starts happening,
Yes,
it's real. It's like, fuck me, this is happening. This is happening within myself and around myself. It's
right,
not.
right. I mean, you could attest to that. I mean, when you speak an incantation I give you, you feel the presence in
Oh
the
yeah.
room, right? It's like there's like, hey, what is going on here? This is independent of me trying to conjure it up, or I'm just literally reading an incantation. It could just be a script for
No,
anyone.
for sure. But I've also over the years, the penny dropped for me. I heard the term proprioception a long time ago, right? Just in an awareness of space with your eyes closed, so you can, for the cognitive skills and stuff like that. And there was a guy who wrote a book called The Open Focus Brain in the 70s about this. And the penny drop for me was that I'm actually developing a skill beyond my five senses. And it was heightening that awareness to attune into something greater than my senses, if that makes sense. So once that landed for me, I was like, huh. So then I would practice exercises to practice it, like holding it, like you say, at the end of the nose or behind your eyes or within my heart. And then, you know, to this day now, I still do these things. But then when you bring in these incantations and actually presence of breath and it becomes like that, it's real visceral, because like there's been I've been a drill sergeant over the years as well, in terms of getting beyond that to the best of my ability anyway, to this point, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it becomes an
Yeah,
experience.
it does.
Yeah.
And, and it'd be like, oh, what the world would look like if we all were actually nurtured this into our lives from day dot, and knowing that
Mm.
who we are and what we're capable of, and that the perception and that knowingness gets imbued in us is phenomenal. You know, it's like, wow,
We have just
we
begun,
have,
brother.
mate, we have. I got to wrap up the podcast in a sec, mate. But
Yeah,
is there
yeah.
anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
Well, no, I highly propose and suggest for anyone that is looking to further their experience of self, which is truly a reflection of the Holy Stream, primordial mother, the Tao, God, Buddha, universe, that you take a moment and refine your own mastery through a method that is repeatable, that you can experience, that is not a transitory sleight of mind in a psychological state that is manipulated by, potential instead of perceived by the potency of now, where you experience it and there's no denying it. I don't have to, and I think I mentioned this before. When I do, by not front loading people, they experience it as such. If you just walk in and just allow yourself to, and I always talk about, the first thing I ever did was, all I was doing within the magic was reading the actual bullet points of this effect, and I followed the instruction, and it happened instantly. So it's like it's possible for anyone to fall into this power that has never left them, that internal immortal self that is holy. It's there at will. You need to find a method that is repeatable, that you can actualize yourself in. And that's why uh, uh, taking Widan, the external, and Nidan, the internal alchemy, and you codify it, you merge it, conscious and unconscious had a baby, and you are whole again. You are whole. And then the internal power of Nigong is where you're moving the energy with your mind. It's palpable. So everything turns on, and it's like you're experiencing this kaleidoscope of vivid mastery that is like an 8K, a 10K, a 20K. You can't make this shit up because you're experiencing it. and you're feeling it, it's ultimate, critical part, in my opinion.
Totally, totally. And if everyone's listening to this, to the end of this podcast, I have no doubt that they will continue on their own personal journey. And, you know, one thing I really feel is this life is a gift, and it's so beautiful. And it's like, why let it slip us by when we can be exploring the wonders of who we truly are? I mean, I still get up every day. I go, fuck, this is my life right now? Like, you know, it's like a little kid, you know what I mean? Like, it's just joyous. It's just joyous, and it's due to having practices and leaning into this work and leaning into actualization. It's beautiful, and my wish is I encourage everyone to explore. You know, yeah. Where can we find out more, San, about your work?
Yeah, come and find me at immortal.daoistrights.com. You can also find me at theway126.com. You can find me at my podcast on all platforms and YouTube, The Way 126 Experience. And, you know, say hello, drop on in.
I'm enjoying your podcast, mate.
Oh, thanks,
I jump
man. I
in.
appreciate it.
I'm able to drop into about an episode a week when I'm traveling or wherever, and there's some interesting conversations on there. It's I got a lot.
Yeah, here's a great one. I have an interesting guest coming up. We'll talk about it afterwards, but very exciting. I mean, they're all exciting. All of them are fantastic. They're all fabulous. And, you know, this is another moment for people to meld with possibility, because all these people are incredibly mastered at what they do. And you don't realize it. You kind of spend a moment where people kind of think that they're all heady and maybe I'm just losing my mind. And then you come across communities like yours or mine where these people are real. They are living and breathing this emanated state. And you too can also live and breathe your own state of holiness if you choose to. But it helps you want to gravitate back to that when you hear these incredible conversations.
And I enjoy, whether on your podcast, my podcast, or certain others, when you've got a merging of different teachings and different understandings, but they just lead to the same place, you know? It's great. And listening to, I enjoy different perspectives and the ways things are framed and said or learnt. And it's like, wow, okay. That's take note of that one.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. It's just amazing to be alive today. And yeah, sure. My answer is it's good to be me. And I am you, you are me, we are all whole. So there's always an option when you're feeling, it's an old Taoist tale. When you're at your lowest, you're actually at your highest. It's a moment of realization. When you feel like you just can't crawl anymore, you stand up and you start running and recognize I never had to crawl in the first place.
You got to dismember to remember. That's what.
Yeah.
Well, San, thank you so much for coming back on the show, man, and thank you for all that you're doing out there in the world. It's greatly appreciated. And
I appreciate you, brother, for everything that you do, and I'm very grateful to spend time with you and your audience. And sharing is caring.
Absolutely. Much love, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you.